history here in Lake County, and I think you will be too when you find out what this lady has done to the Office of Supervisor of Election and for how many years. Now, she may not tell you the whole story. I won't embarrass her by that, but would you welcome our Supervisor of Elections of Lake County, Mrs. Emogene Stegall. There you go.
Thank you and good evening. When I'm asked to speak, I try to remember the rule of the 3 B's. Be sincere, be short, and be seated. Mr. Nickelman had asked me to talk about voter registration. You know, the recent changes in our election laws, House Bill 1355 passed during the 2011 session. There were 77 changes in this bill to election. Some of these new laws became effective immediately upon the governor's signature and include third-party voter registration. Changes regarding third-party voter registration organizations. A third-party registration organization is defined as any person, entity, or organization that solicits or collects any voter registration applications. Third-party registration organizations are required to file their registration papers form with the Division of Elections in Tallahassee. They have to file monthly reports accounting for each voter registration that they have received. They must date stamp and enter the time of day, the hour, and the minute on the back of the application and enter their state-issued ID number. And this is good. This is for tracking these applications. They must deliver the application within 48 hours of completion to the Division of Elections in Tallahassee or to our office in Tavares. This is a change from 10 days to 48 hours. If they fail to deliver the application on time, they can be fined up to $50 for each late application and up to $1,000 for any application that they never turn into our office. Prior to May 19, 2011, when this became a law, we had several registrations third-party filed in our office in Lake County. But at this time, we only have one that's in Lake County. So we have the forms here, and if you're interested in filing as a third-party organization registration, then we will give these out to you, and you can file them, and then you can be in business. But if you're not interested in becoming a registration organization, there are options to register voters, and you do not have to drive to Tavares. Anyone may hand out voter registration applications and advise the person to fill it out and mail it to our office. The address is on the back of the form. Any resident, but do not accept a complete application. The voter must mail it in or bring it into our office. You may hand them out, but do not accept them. Any resident may call the Supervisor of Elections office and request a voter registration form be mailed to them. And we get many calls every day, people requesting that we mail an application to them because it's more convenient, they say. If registered by mail and they are new to Florida, You must provide a photocopy of your driver's license or your Florida ID. Or they can go to any public library and pick up an application form, or visit our website, complete the online Lake County voter registration application, print and sign application, and mail it to our office. And we have the registration forms here also. In addition to registering a new Florida voter, the voter registration application may be used to update a record, name change, or party change. And we get a lot of those also. So if you need to make a change on your voter record, I encourage you to do this, please, before Election Day. Address changes at polls slows the elections process. And the books close in Florida, the books close 29 days prior to Election Day. And the dates for this year's election cycle, for the August 14th primary, the books close July 16th. November 16th, the general election, the books close October 9th. And that is the drop-dead date to get to register to vote in the presidential election. And there were changes in our early voting, and you've been reading a lot about this, and I know that we hear a lot every day about this. Early voting now begins 10 days before Election Day and takes place over an 8-day period. Each early voting site will be open 12 hours a day. In Lake County, we will continue to do everything we can to make the voting process run smoothly and efficiently and be a positive experience for the voter. And the books close for the August 14th primary, early voting. Early voting for the August primary runs August 4th through August 11th. November 6th general, October 27th through November 3rd. And I you hear a lot about vote by mail, vote by mail. I recommend it. If years ago you had to be ill, you had to be unable to get out of the house, or you had to be out of the county before you could vote by mail. And that law was changed several years ago. We have 15,198 absentee ballot requests on file at this date. And in a presidential election year, for the general election, we will have 30 or 31 or more thousand requests. I think we mailed over 31,000 4 years ago. So if anyone wishes to vote by mail, we have the forms here, and all you have to do is request it. And in November, we're going to have a 3-page ballot, front and back. There are 11 constitutional amendments on the ballot, and that's why it sounds good to vote. If you have a mail ballot, you can sit at your breakfast table and discuss and just argue if you would like and do all of that, and there'll be no waiting. So if you're interested in the absentee ballot request forms, we have them, and you may hand them out. Candidates, anyone can hand them out, but you can't take the ballot. But you can hand out the application to him. In 2008, we had a 38.75% voter turnout prior to Election Day in the primary, and in the general, there was 59.11% voted prior to Election Day. So, if you think you had to wait then, well, we have been very fortunate. I don't think we've had too many long lines. But when there's a lengthy ballot, and I mail a sample ballot to each and every registered voter, so they can look at this ballot and decide before they get there how they're going to do to speed up the process. And in the January Republican primary, we had a 40.68% turnout. And our total registrations, you know, you read a lot about the suppressing the vote, and it's hard to register, and in 2008, January 1 through April 1, we registered 3,717 voters. And this year, from January 1 to April 1, we registered 3,355. We were down 9.7% from 2008. However, in 2008, we had a Democratic and a Republican presidential preference primary. So there was more interest at that time. We go to all high schools except Mineola, and there are no seniors in Mineola, and register the students in March of each year. So this year, in March, we registered 653 students. So our young people are getting registered. And we always explain to them how, if they're going away to college or to the military, how they may obtain a mail ballot if they're going to keep Lake County their permanent home of record or their residence address. Our current registration as of April 1, our total registered voters 193,661. Republican 86,612. Democrat 65,248. No party affiliation 32,292. And this number is growing, not only in Florida but all over the nation. And others, there's 9,509. And the other parties are the minor parties that are registered with the state, such as Tea Party, Green Party, Libertarian Party, Independent, Constitution. I think there are 21 of the minor parties. So those are what we have registered now. And in that number, men 89,086, women 104,575. So ladies, there's power in numbers. Remember that. And that is about what I have to say. And if you're interested, we have the registration applications that you may pick up and distribute. We have the absentee ballot request forms. And if you have a change of address or anything, if you need to register and change your name or party affiliation, whatever you would like to do, we'll be here for a few minutes if you'd like to do that. And I believe that's what I have to say, and if there's time and any questions, I would try to answer. Yes, ma'am?
Back in the presidential election, I thought that there were questions about military votes being counted. And I was also wondering, with the early vote and mail vote, when do those get counted, and do they all get counted?
Yes. Now, your first question, in 2000, remember the big hassle. Lake County, we didn't have problems, except for, that was the big question about, we have the military overseas have 10 additional days to get their ballot back to us. That's why we have to wait so long to certify our returns. They have 10 days if it is mailed no later than election day. If it's mailed on election day, we are allowed, and we do count those votes.
Have they made any allowance for them to do it over computer or any other way?
They may request by email. We can email a ballot to them. They must and they can email it back, they must file that, they file a waiver giving up their right to a secret ballot. And those ballots have to be duplicated. Our scanners will not accept a fax or any other than our regular, our legal coded ballots. So those are duplicated. They are all counted. Yes, ma'am.
On election day, if I go to the poll, I have to show my driver's license, my voter registration card, and when I fill out my ballot, if I do it electronically, it's put in right then. If someone gets a mail ballot and they fill it out, what regulations are there, what guarantees that there's no fraud?
Number one, they have to be a registered voter, and they are mailed a ballot with loads of instructions. And I'm sorry to say, but a lot of people fail to read instructions. This is an envelope, the return that we mail to each and every ballot that goes out of our office, as this is the return. We send the return envelope. And it has a secrecy sleeve, a green folder. I have one of those. This is the secrecy sleeve with the instructions clearly. You just think there's no way that anyone could not understand this. But we mail this envelope, and they are required to hopefully read this oath and sign their name and date. Now, when those come back, the first thing we do is bring up that record on the computer, and we compare the signature. And we have, like I said, 30,000, and this is going on every day and half of the night sometimes. We compare the signatures. If the signature matches, it goes into batches. We batch them in batches of 100. And it's locked and sealed until they're locked in cabinets until the canvassing board meets, and those are processed. And if they do not comply with this, a number of people send their ballots back that we cannot count because they failed. There's no signature, none whatsoever on this, so we cannot process those. If the signature is not a match, and we take into consideration that, people's signature changes, but there is even some of our records, we do still have some people, I believe a few that voted and registered in 1956 when the state of Florida went to the permanent registration system, when they took them off of the old log-in books and went to a permanent system. But if it does not match, it's presented to the canvassing board. The canvassing board is made up of the supervisor of election, a county court judge, and the chairman of the Board of County Commissioners. I do not make that determination if this is going to be counted. I present it to the board, and everyone looks at it, and we certainly count every ballot that could be counted. But I send them a letter telling them that they need to update their signature in order for their ballot to be counted. Yes?
Can I ask a question? Just off top. How about non-citizen voting? It has been wild in Florida. Non-citizen voting. Non-citizens voting.
Not citizens voting.
Not citizens voting?
It's wild in Florida, okay? It's here.
Illegal voting.
Not illegal vote, illegal. Non-citizens voting.
Non-citizen. When a person comes in to register to vote, number one, we ask for their Florida driver's license. It has their photo and their signature on it. If they do not have that, or they have a Florida ID or whatever, And the first question that we ask them, are you a citizen of the United States?
You can say yes.
If they say yes, and we complete the form, they read the oath and say this is, it tells them the penalty if this is not true and correct. Now, we cannot question these people, If prior to 1995, when the motor voter bill became a law, every person who came in to register to vote, they had to provide a citizenship, their naturalization papers, and we recorded the court and the date they were naturalized, and that was part of their record. But when the motor voter bill became a law in January 1995, you could go to driver's licenses, you can register by mail. We have no control over that. That is the law. And when they're registered driver's licenses, we never get the hard copy. It's electronically transmitted to our office. And we get the signature and all the other information, but we do not get that paper showing where they checked that they are citizens and all of this.
Yeah.
They do say they are a citizen. Now what they do at driver's license, I don't know. But okay.
My mother is she cannot sign, but the nurses decided who she should go for.
No, I don't know about New York state laws, but in Florida, supervisors go to we try 15 days according to the statute to go to the nursing homes. First I have the activities director, or the person who is in charge of their right to vote. They send us a list of those who are in their facility and request to vote. We check it out. They have to send us their name and their date of birth. We check to make sure if these people are registered, and then when there is more than 5, according to the statute, this is the way we have to do it. If there's more than 5 registered to vote at that facility, the supervisor takes the ballots too. And the way we do this, there's a person or 2 or 3, we might have 24 ballots for some of the facilities. We have 2 or 3 people from our office, and we request the facility to have that many people, and we go into the rooms if they are not able and read the ballot to them, and there's no way that is that is a no-no. You never try to tell a person. We read the ballot if they need assistance that way, but they have to make their determination. That's the way we do it. Yes, sir?
How are the votes counted, and who counts the votes in a presidential election?
The votes are, when you go to vote and you mark your ballot and run it through, you feed it into the scanner. When the polls close, the poll workers print the results. And then they mold them in the print, and then mold them in the results. Then they pull the thumb drive, and it's locked and sealed in a box, and they bring that into our office, and we compare those tapes with the modems in. It's by phone line, they modem in, and it goes out we get it on the web right away. And we count them in our network room, and that's with the judge, with the canvassing board. And the public is welcome. We canvass publicly, so if any of you would ever like to come, be our guest. We love to have you. Yes, sir?
Can I change subjects for a second? Can you tell us what's the process for being a poll watcher?
A poll watcher A candidate, any and all candidates, if they so choose, may have one watcher in a precinct, in a polling place. Political parties may have one in each precinct. Thank goodness we never had that many, because some of our polling places are not large enough to have them, that many come in. But to be a poll watcher, you would either have to be appointed by the candidate or by a political party. And there is a form that the chairman of the parties have to file, or the candidate, they have to file it 2 weeks before election day with us. And we have to check to see that you're a registered voter. You have to be a registered voter. Then I notify the chair or the candidate that this has been approved or has not been approved. And then we have to notify, I send a written statement to the clerks in the polling places saying Sam Brown will be a poll watcher at your precinct from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. or whatever. And then that is the way your chair or your candidate would notify you if you were approved. And I don't think that job pays, but it's different from poll workers. Okay?
Emogene, I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Did that answer your question? Yeah. Recently, we've been made aware of an issue down in Lee County, Fort Myers, where they discovered approximately 100 people who have been voting consistently over the last 3 or 4 election cycles. And it turned out they were, as this lady said, they were not U.S. citizens. And the way that was determined was by their jury duty notices. They were sent notices of jury duty. They refused to serve in the jury, and their reason being that they were not U.S. citizens. So they wouldn't serve in the jury, but yet they've been voting. And the only reason they discovered it is someone, I'm not sure how, found a way to compare jury duty information with voters. And I think you and I talked up there about people that are snowbirds that may own a home in Michigan. They vote up there. They come to Florida. They own a home down here in Kings Ridge, and they vote here. And you said that there was no way we can check out of state.
No.
But you can check.
There is no statewide voter database.
There is within the state.
With no nationwide.
No, but within the state, they can't be registered in Pensacola and Claremont.
No, we would find that.
What about this issue with these, back to this citizenship question?
Well, I checked that. I have requested, and they have been sending jury those that were disqualified for being non-citizen, and all the names that they sent. I had one person who was registered to vote and had voted. And I sent a certified letter to this lady, and you can't just say, well, I'll just take you off. The law doesn't allow that. There's a process we have to go through. Send a certified letter, and I tell her it's been called to our attention that you were disqualified as a juror because you are a non-citizen. And they have to have an opportunity to say that's correct or that is incorrect. And there are people, we're human, people make mistakes all the time, and that's why it takes a lengthy process. Well, her letter was returned undeliverable, unknown. So we did remove the name from the record, but that's the only one that we found.
As concerned citizens of this organization, I'm interested in knowing what ways can we help ensure the accuracy and the process of our election? How can we, whether it's poll workers, poll watchers, what other things? Can you give us?
Well, you could certainly, I would hope that you would notify us immediately if you felt or you had reason, proof of anything that was not legal or anything. We want, you know, that's what it's all about, honest, fair, nonpartisan, transparent, successful elections, and we welcome your help if there's anything. And if, you know, if you challenge someone who's registered to vote, or, you know, there's a process also that you go through with that. Okay?
Any other questions?
Well, yes, sir?
When you find someone who's voting illegal, what is the penalty? Just
Well,
off the roll?
no, this is the process. If there is, like we had a felon show up to vote once upon a time, and I built a file, prepared a file. We turned it over to the state attorney. The state attorney kept it for a month. They sent it back and said, we're not sure this is this person. So that was the end of that. But if I am aware, I do send it to the state attorney. That is the process.
What if we uncover 25 people with the address of a McDonald's or something like that? And we bring you that information.
We, you know, our computer's set up. We know if it's a business, or we know if it's a residence, or we have had someone file qualifying papers and use a cluster mailbox address. Our computer tells us if it's not a valid address in Lake County. And if I had 25 people at one address, I would go out there and check them out. And we are aware that those things could happen, and we do pay attention to what we're processing.
Could you explain a provisional ballot, please?
A provisional ballot, if you go to vote on election day or early voting, and you say, well, I was out walking the dog and I don't have my handbag and I don't have any ID. And I hate to say this, but men usually leave their wallet locked, their driver's license locked in their vehicle, they say, more than women. But if you show up and you do not have any ID, we do not turn away. They say, you know, even their name is on the book. If they do not have ID, we have to provide a provisional ballot. A provisional ballot is a paper ballot. You just mark it, and it's in a special envelope. It has an affidavit on the back of it. You have to say all this information is true, and they're allowed to vote a provisional. So we have Wednesday and by Thursday at 5 o'clock after the election, we have to process all of these provisional ballots, some of them who have moved into the county from another county, and just like in January, this was the new law, that had not changed their address, but if they're properly registered in another county, they may, they vote a provisional ballot, and we have to go in and pull their record if they were in good standing. But provisional ballot is just, it's a paper ballot that is just not deposited, it's not scanned into the system until we check it out, and then we count those.
Okay. Thank you. I think we've about run ourselves out of the bill. Thank you very much.
And thank you for inviting me, and I know all of you are good voters. Vote early and often, but often mean in every election, not often one. Thank you.
We have one little bit of housekeeping and then one final announcement. As always, we have to pay for this room, in case you didn't figure that out. So every evening as I practice, you'll see these nice bright little colored buckets. We would appreciate a little folding stuff, the kind that crinkles, not tinkles. And that's tinkle coins. And then lastly, I'm going to ask Fred Costello if he would give us a little preview of what's, Jim's going to do it, a preview of coming attractions for our very next Tea Party meeting.